The Hyundai Palisade is the Korean car maker's first full-size 3-row SUV ever. In the past, the Santa Fe XL or long wheelbase was Hyundai's biggest 3-row SUV, but this is bigger. It's almost 5 meters long and has been designed primarily for buyers who want 3-row 7 or 8-seater SUVs for family use to take on cars like the Ford Explorer, Toyota Highlander, and this, the Kia Telluride. The Telluride is Kia's first ever full-sizer too, and has also been done keeping the same market segment in mind. And like the Palisade, it is also named after a town in the American state of Colorado. It is 5 meters in length and so a tad longer than the Palisade. The two cars come from sister companies and so yes, are very, very similar.
Now both of these SUVs share the same platform and they were created so that each of their respective brands can enter a brand new segment for the very first time with a very clear eye on the US market. Now there's been a lot of speculation about whether Kia or Hyundai should consider bringing them both or at least one of them to the Indian market as that big SUV flagship, big being the operative word. And if that is the case, which brand should take the leap?
Well, that is my reason for driving both these cars and driving them back to back. There's been much said about each one of these, and so I won't bore you. Suffice to say that besides platform, the two share the same drivetrain too. The 285 bhp making 3.8-litre V6 GDI petrol engine is common to both cars, and in the exact same state of tune too. Both therefore have 355 Nm of peak torque, and yes, both cars use the same 8-speed auto gearbox too. This drivetrain is standard here in the United States, but in some other markets the Palisade also gets a slightly smaller displacement V6 petrol and a 2.2-litre common rail diesel option. It is that diesel that interests me, but let's leave that for another day. The two may be similar underneath the surface, but boy oh boy, are they different to look at. The Palisade aims to be luxurious and so is well built, well finished, and carries the largest iteration of Hyundai's Cascade grille. The slim lights treatment is similar to the Santa Fe, Creta, Kona and Venue, but the daytime running lights slicing through the headlamp cluster and into the bumper, well, that's different. Some of this face is what has in fact inspired the new gen Creta's styling, no doubt. The sides and rear are simple, but yes, the tail lights are quite distinct too. If the Palisade is meant to appeal to the suave, the Telluride is all about butch muscle. The car is more square, is a tad bigger, and emphasizes its unique styling through some specific elements. The vertically rectangular headlamp with an orange DRL is very cool and very unique. The tiger nose grille is wide and the car gets a nice wedge-shaped D-pillar as the rear angles down, almost Range Rover-like. The tailgate is also wide and the tail lights, again, very character-defining. I feel the Palisade's looks are a bit much and the car's metal surfaces make it look bulbous. It's also a little bit too blingy. The Telluride, on the other hand, wins the styling sweepstakes for me for being like nothing else and also being very handsome. A car you will not forget in a hurry, but looks are purely subjective anyway. Inside the cabin, both cars are very well finished, and here's where the Palisade will definitely win your heart. It is more luxurious looking and feeling. Quilted leather seats and door panels, sleeker surfaces, and even a button stack instead of a gear lever for the transmission make it a very roomy and airy feeling cabin. The car also gets a 12.3-inch screen for its digital instrument cluster. On lower variants, that becomes an 8-inch screen with dials on the sides. In the central console, it has the same 10.25-inch touchscreen as the Telluride's. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto and BlueLink embedded SIM connectivity are also on offer. Both cars have a smaller 8-inch screen in lower variants. The Palisade's cabin is roomy and even the third row gets USB charging points. Optional equipment like the sunroof and electrically folding third row seats are pretty cool. The car's cabin is right up there with, dare I say it, Mercedes-Benz. On the Telluride, the fit and feel are also premium. The design is very obviously more solid and simplistic to keep with the car's rugged pickup truck feel. In terms of equipment, you get almost everything that the Palisade offers, but there is only a much smaller 7-inch screen in the instruments, and you don't get power folding third row seats. All of the connectivity with UVO Connect embedded SIM are of course on offer. Seat ventilation, head-up display and multi-zone climate control are available on both cars too. Neither car has a hybrid variant though. I drove both cars and will begin with the Kia Telluride. This is one car I had been itching to drive given its meteoric rise in popularity in the US, especially amongst media. It has bagged most of the key North American car awards for 2020 and is also a top 3 finalist for the 2020 World Car Awards, a first ever achievement by any Korean car. The Telluride will coast along and while smooth, has a slightly leisurely build-up of speed. It lacks any urgency at first, but take the engine past 4800 or 5000 RPM and a beast awakens. And how! The gearbox is quick and responsive, though shifting down can be a touch slow in highly dynamic situations. It gets comfort, eco, sport and smart drive modes. The last one is like auto, and it automatically keeps the car in either eco, comfort or sport depending on driving conditions and driver inputs.
While there's an immediate sense of body roll on the Telluride, one thing I will say in its favor is that you don't get a sense of that bulk or the weight that this vehicle is pulling. It is fairly smooth and easy to drive, and then when you put it into sport mode and the steering stiffens up a bit, it also handles quite nicely. Of course, like I said, at higher speeds and of course on twistier roads, that body roll does creep in.
But ride quality on the Telluride is great. The car feels ample and comfortable in all conditions. On the Palisade, things are similar yet different. The engine has the same leisurely feel. Both cars get the same brakes, but on the Palisade they feel sharper. The same is true for its steering. The driver's seat in the Palisade feels more commanding too and gives you that higher riding SUV feel. It also gets multiple drive modes, but in addition to the ones from the Kia, the all-wheel drive Palisade also gets a snow mode for low traction driving surfaces. The ride quality is just as good, but then there is the handling difference.
Now mechanically the two cars are very similar, but there's a different setup to the rear suspension on the Palisade, and I have to say it does improve handling tremendously. In fact, overall, the feel that you get on the Palisade is more plush, it's more refined. I have to say that in performance terms, the Palisade is just a notch higher than the Telluride, and the ride quality is also pretty exceptional.
Both cars have an optional self-leveling rear suspension, but that's only on the top-end all-wheel drive. Lucky for me that both cars with me are in their top spec. So while both the Telluride and Palisade are very similar, the Hyundai just feels that extra bit refined and sharper in the drive dynamics department. In the US, both cars start at just around $32,000 and top off at about $46,000. Both have optional all-wheel drive and a ton of standard and optional equipment, as you saw. And of course, needless to say, both also have the 3 rows and massive cargo space. So, which one wins? Well, it's close, very close. But the great thing is that despite being the same car on so many levels, the two have wildly different character and appeal. And so, while the Telluride is way sexier, the Palisade is the better car overall, both for its drivability and its luxury offering. But I still believe there's a very strong case for both cars to come to India anyway. The Palisade, though, may have the stronger case here, but only just.